Night descended upon the city like a shroud of velvet, wrapping the streets in an eerie silence. Neon lights flickered, casting ethereal glows on the rain-soaked pavement. Detective Marco Santoro, a weathered soul with haunted eyes, paced through the maze of alleys. A string of gruesome murders had seized the city, each victim's throat slashed with surgical precision. Detective Santoro always got his man, but now every clue led only to a new dead end. The reflections of neon signs shimmered in the puddles, their otherworldly dance disrupted only by the steady tread of his worn leather shoes. The smell of wet concrete and the distant hum of the city formed the backdrop as Marco entered an obscure antique shop. Its mahogany door creaked, announcing his arrival to the mysterious wares within. Antique clocks ticked in synchrony, creating an irregular heartbeat in the otherwise still air. A flickering gas lamp illuminated an enigmatic figure, the shopkeeper, who greeted Marco with a knowing smile. "Something I can help you with?" Marco looked across the wares with the careful gaze of an analytical mind. "I know he was here." The shopkeeper shook his head in disagreement. "Only the whispers of the past linger here." "Well, if it's all the same," said Marco without looking up, "I'll have a look around anyway." The shopkeeper returned to his register. "Of course, detective. I'd expect no less." In the shop's dim recesses, Marco unearthed an ornate mirror with an intricately carved frame. It was in excellent condition, with the exception of a broken corner, leaving a jagged edge exposed. The mirror's frame was adorned with elaborate patterns, a relic from a bygone era. The detective ran his fingers over its cool surface, feeling the weight of history. Its glass held secrets, of that he was sure. As he gazed into it, cryptic whispers brushed against his consciousness, a sibilant chorus of voices. He looked around suddenly, but the shop was empty except for him and the shopkeeper, who appeared to have heard nothing. He felt his eyes drawn back to the mirror, which unveiled for him a city engulfed in shadows, a phantasmagoric realm where he saw the victims' faces, the same faces from the crime scene photos he'd studied so carefully. Each reflection told a tale of betrayal, revenge, and a mysterious figure shrouded in red. Among the stories embedded in the glass, Marco glimpsed a woman with flowing auburn hair, her eyes aflame with a fierce determination, a lover betrayed. A man in a crimson cloak, his laughter echoing across time, an eternal puppeteer pulling the strings of fate. Among the distorted reflections, Marco discerned details of the city's forgotten history, a time when the theater district flourished and the streets echoed with the laughter of joyous crowds. The mirror became a window to the past, revealing the city's evolution and decay. The detective's investigation led him to an abandoned theater, an asylum for lost dreams. Its dilapidated marquee still held remnants of a bygone era, promising spectacles long forgotten. Marco felt the hallowed ground beneath him, the stage that had witnessed both tragedy and triumph. The air inside the theater hung heavy with the lingering echoes of applause that had long since faded. In the decaying embrace of the theater, Marco confronted the enigmatic figure donned in crimson, a spectral puppeteer orchestrating the city's descent into madness. The puppeteer's eyes, pools of malevolence, met Marco's, and a haunting smile played on lips stained with the blood of the innocent. Within the theater's dilapidated auditorium, Marco discovered an ancient playbill. It chronicled tales of love and treachery, a macabre script foretelling the fate of the city. The audience, a congregation of ghostly apparitions, watched with hollow eyes as the puppeteer conducted an ensemble of shadows. The puppeteer carefully manipulated the strings as each victim was drawn out upon the stage. Marco could hear their pleas but was powerless to help. He could feel darkness closing in around him and fought with all his will against its steady encroachment. Reality fractured, and Marco found himself entangled in a kaleidoscopic nightmare. The city bled into vibrant hues of red, an unsettling swirl of horror and nightmarish beauty. Whispers surrounded him, the tortured voices of the past clawing at the edges of sanity. Fighting against the madness threatening to overwhelm his mind, the detective held up the jagged edge of the mirror and, with a swift, desperate strike, severed the crimson threads, shattering the puppeteer's spectral hold. The theater crumbled, and the whispers subsided, reality knitting itself back together as if he were awakening from a fevered dream. Marco fell to his knees, and the mirror tumbled to the theater floor. He put a hand to the deep gash it had made across his throat, but he could not stem the flow of blood, forming a pool below him that he collapsed into. The shopkeeper entered the dark theater and stooped down to collect the mirror. "Bravo, detective," he said with sincere admiration. "Bravo." With loving care, he returned the mirror to its place in the antique store. In its reflection, he saw Detective Santoro, fierce determination still in his eyes. The detective who always got his man. Thanks for listening. See you next time. If you enjoy our videos, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe.